don't say so, right? That's what I want to learn how to do that. I have an accident with the fire police.
All right, good evening, everyone. It's 6:30. Call this meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Jason McRowe, first ward councilman, present.
Colin O'Connell, first ward councilman, present.
Missy Fuller, second ward council, present. Maria Mazzara, second ward council, present.
Michael Hockenberry, councilman at large, present.
Dominic Sigalese, Mayor, present.
Jeffrey Rose, third ward council president.
Gerald Oney, third ward councilman, present.
Jacqueline Dennison, fourth ward council, present.
Stan Siegel, fourth ward councilman, present.
William Frank, corporation council, present.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We have no public hearings tonight. However, we do have one presentation. I would like to call Melissa Zott up to the podium. This is regarding the 2024 audit report from PKF O'Connor Davies. Melissa, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it. My name is Melissa Zott. I was the engagement partner on the Port Jervis audit for December 31st, 24. You did get draft financials, but I did provide a PowerPoint presentation, which I just find is a little bit easier to digest all of the numbers in the report. So we'll go through that right now. The first, I guess really the second page is the agenda. So today I have some required communications that we'll go through, just part of the external audit process. We'll start high level on the general fund for 24 to see where you ended up in your fund balance. We'll dive a little bit deeper into your revenues and expenditures to see how exactly we got there. Then I provided again a 5-year general fund balance history, and then the results of the other funds as well, so we see where they ended up, along with the debt service summary. So let's go to the required communications on page 3. As part of this external audit process, there are certain responsibilities we have and the board has as well. These lists here is related to the city council. You are required to ensure that the accounting policies are selected and implemented appropriately, making sure the financial statements, which are currently in draft form, are presented in accordance with the United States generally accepted accounting principles, making sure that you have established proper internal controls at the city, and then doing a periodic review to ensure those controls are operating effectively. You must be in compliance with all laws and regulations, including any provisions within the contracts that you enter into, and then providing us as your external auditors with all of the financial records that we request. And I just want to give a big thank you to Stacy, the clerk treasurer, and Bobby Joe, the deputy clerk treasurer. It really is a lot of back and forth, so I just appreciate all the hard work. And probably the most important thing, the last thing, is just setting a proper tone at the top, making sure that the city has high ethics and that's communicated down to the employees to ensure that everybody understands the ethical responsibilities. Next page, on page 4, as your external auditors, we also have certain responsibilities as part of this process. The deliverables are the reports that we will be issuing. We are going to issue an independent auditor's report with an unmodified opinion. Sometimes you might hear that referred to as a clean opinion. It is the best opinion that the city can receive. We will also issue a yellow book report. That's a report on your controls and the compliance with the city. Required communications to those charged with governance and the management letter, that's included in one document. That will also be issued as well. We have started on a single audit that will be issued separately, but that's where we test the federal compliance aspects of it. If there were any fraud or illegal acts noted during our audit process, we would have communicated that to you prior to today, so I'm happy to report that there were none. We did not encounter any significant difficulties, no unpertinent statements, and no disagreements with management. So let's dive into the numbers on page 5. Here's a 4-column schedule. Your first column is your original budget that was adopted. Your final budget would include any budget amendments or budget transfers. Your actual results are in the 3rd column, and then your variance with the final budget in the last column. Starting at the top in the revenues, you budgeted approximately $17.3 million to come into the city. The actual results were almost $17.6 million. So you did about 243,000 better than what you anticipated. Those did cross over different categories, which we'll go over on the next page. On the expenditures, the money going out and paying for invoices and costs, you anticipated about 17.26 million, so almost 17.3, but you actually only spent 16.3 million, so you had a budgetary savings of about 936,000. Most of that was in your general government support and your employee benefits, which we'll show on the next slide as well. That leaves us with your change in your net position, but you also have some other financing sources and uses, that one line. So 65,000 is what you budgeted. That's two different items. You have a revenue source of insurance recoveries. You budgeted about 60,000, but then you also budgeted a transfer out to capital projects fund. So that was about 125,000. You didn't end up utilizing that budget for the transfer to capital, but you did receive insurance recoveries of about 88,000. So from a budget perspective, you had a budgetary savings of 154,000. So look at that net change in fund balance, that third line from the bottom. You can see in the original budget, that's a zero. So basically the city did not anticipate utilizing any of the general fund's fund balance to balance the budget. So your revenues match your expenditures. Instead, if you look on your actual column, instead of just remaining flat for the year, you actually added 1.3 million to your fund balance. So you started out the year at almost 3.8 million, and you ended the year at almost 5.1 million, which is great. So let's go over on the next page the details of those. So we have revenue summary. The columns are the same, except I did add a prior column there as well, so you can see the prior results. I will be focusing mostly on the variance with the budget. So what I've had here is identified a majority of the revenue sources that make up the budget variance that we talked about on the previous page. So we'll start at the first line with your real property tax. You can see in the variance with final budget, you did about 436,000 better than what you anticipated. Obviously you have your tax levy, but there are some receivables, so there's a collection difference there. So even though the city will collect the tax levy that is issued, there will be timing issuances, which is like a governmental accounting aspect, so it will be collected over time. So essentially this means your receivables were lower this year than they were last year. Better collections, which is great for the city. Your other tax items, that's gonna be things related to your interest and penalties on taxes, your pilots, as well as any gain and loss on your sale of tax-acquired property. You can see you budgeted about 622,000, but you actually received 283,000. So you had less than what you anticipated, about 338,000. Most of that amount was broken really into two parts. One was your pilots, that was about 158,000 short, and then your interest and penalties on real property tax was 168,000 lower than budgeted. I would generally see the interest and penalties lower than budgeted, depending on how much your collections came in. So because you had better collections, interest and penalties would be lower as well. Your pilots should be budgeted based on the pilot agreements you currently have, so you want to look at the schedule and look at that budget as well. The third line is your non-property tax distribution from the county. The line just is for sales tax essentially. So that's the sales tax that you receive from Orange County. You can see that they came under budget, about 514,000, and a little bit under last year as well. The sales tax will fluctuate just based on the economy. If people are going out and buying things, you'll have more. We have seen a drop in the sales tax, so this is consistent with other municipalities. It's not an anomaly that the city has, so it's very consistent across the state. Next line item is a positive one for police fees. About 234,000 over what you anticipated. This was mostly due to the timing of your police officer reimbursement that comes from your Orange County Department of Social Services for that Orange County Child Abuse Task Force. So approximately that would be including some of the 23 that got collected late, including the 24 as well. Next is your vacant building fees, budget about $291,000, but only collected $184,000. If you look at last year, it is similar to $195,000, so it's very close to what you collected last year. I looked at the prior year budget to see what that came to. So the prior year budget was about $190,000, so that was increased this year $100,000. So those fees just wouldn't come to fruition. Your earnings on investments did do better than budgeted and last year. We have seen that as in 24 interest rates were still a little bit high, but still dropping. And then your license and permits came relatively in line, as did your sale of property for compensation for loss. That one did have higher, about $81,000, but that was related to some auctions that are unbudgeted. Your state aid I broke out into 4 different categories. Your per capita, and then if you drop down onto your temporary municipal assistance, that's just your normal AIM payment, so it's aid to the municipalities. They did break out in 24 this new temporary municipal assistance, or the TMA. I wanted to make sure that you saw it here separately. So you do know what you're getting for per capita, about 1.4, but because the TMA was new, that was unbudgeted essentially. Your mortgage tax, with the one right between there, did perform better than your budget at about $63,000. Again, that's all related to the interest rates and people buying and selling homes. Your state aid other, that would be all the other state aid that the city has that was reported in the general fund, that came relatively in line. And then the last line on the revenue side is your transportation federal aid. So that's your operating assistant money from the federal government, about $327,000 you received, but you only budgeted $213,000. So overall, the positive variance, we spoke about $177,000, which is the majority of the revenue source. Let's move on to the expenditures on the next slide. So what we have here are the functions for the city. The general government support would include any expenditures that would support the city as a whole. So that includes the city council, it includes the mayor, it includes finance, law, so anything that really just supports the city. Overall, within that set of functions, you budget about $2.2 million. There was a slight transfer related to contingency movement, but you actually only spent about $1.9 million. So overall, you had a budgetary savings of almost $300,000. That savings, just breaking it down to see, what exactly that came to. So $80,000 was on contingency. Contingency is a line item that allows for some flexibility within the budget. You didn't utilize the full $220,000 that you originally adopted, so you were remaining with $80,000 left over. In addition, you had a savings of $120,000 on taxes for city property, city-related property, and then $70,000 on unallocated insurance. So those are the really main parts that you have savings. The next category or function is public safety. That would represent activities aimed at protecting life and property. So your public safety budget was about $5.4 million. That did increase slightly, again, to contingency for $5.5 million. So you did spend a little bit higher, about 5.7. So you had $213,000 over what you anticipated. Looking at the details of that, police spent about $350,000 more than budgeted. A portion of that was related to overtime, and then a portion of that was related to salaries, unbudgeted salaries. There was an offset of a savings within the fire department. You had savings on some insurance costs within there, so that netted out to about $213,000. Your health included in there, it just basically promotes public health protection, so that's your ADA project compliance, that's what's reported in there. Your transportation would be any development costs or maintenance costs of infrastructure for your public transit or public roads. So looking at your transportation costs, you did have a budgetary savings in that variance column of 218,000. Those savings were mostly in, street maintenance costs of about 100,000. You also had some savings in snow removal, as we know, in 24, so not this year, but the year before. There was a lighter snow, so you'd have savings there, and then some, minimal savings in your bus operation salaries. Your economic opportunity development, that 64,000 relates to community development services, and then your next line is your culture and recreation. So that's just extending activities that enhance, just the quality of life as a whole from the city for the citizens. So you did have a savings there of 88,000. The 88,000 was related to the refuse collection and disposal, department. So there was 46,000 of that amount was savings related to that, small savings and some inspections as well. The larger savings, if you look at that variance, is your employee benefits. That was about 409,000. It is challenging to budget for the health benefits, just because the rates, the timing that you have your budget gets approved versus the timing that the city gets the rates. It can be a challenge to do that because you don't wanna under budget and then have costs inflate. So, we have seen, savings in most of my clients under the employee benefit just because of the challenge of this. And then I wanted to point out the debt service, the 1.15 of the actual cost. That includes your, serial bonds, so all the bonds you have outstanding for the principal, and interest. But it also includes your capital leases, so there are some capital leases that go through the general fund as well. That savings there, that 124 is on your serial bond, so you do have an amortization schedule, you can utilize that, towards the budget as well. And then lastly is your transfers out to capital projects fund. It was just a transfer out, not utilized, but it can be utilized in the future if you budget for it as well. So let's go to page 8 for the 5-year general fund balance. So we started in 2020, we ended in 24. You can see that the fund balance did grow. Started at 2.4 million, which was only about 14% of your next year's budget. And you grew all the way up to almost 5.1 million, 26% of next year's budget. So you do have, 2 reserves. One is your non-spendable prepaid expenditures. That is something that the city doesn't necessarily have control over because it relates solely to your policy that you pay for. So this would be a portion of it related to next year. That money's already earmarked to be spent. The next item is your restricted for debt service. So over time, this should be earning interest. So when we came in, we added interest to that. That would be utilized only to help pay for future principal and interest payments, to assist and not necessarily raising the taxes in the future. And then lastly is your unassigned. So that's what you call free and clear, can be spent on city purposes. But you could also utilize other reserves to help benchmark those costs or earmark those costs and have a savings account that you can build over time. You could do like an insurance reserve. There's other reserves as well, so I would look into that also. There are other funds that the city operates on page 9. Your water fund had a net change of about 291,000 in the deficit. So you started at 1 million, you ended at 751,000. I did look in the prior year as well just to see how it performed, and it did have a loss again in 23 of about 208,000. So just something to keep in mind going forward. Small cities had a small net change positive of 83,000. Your capital projects fund did have a loss of 566,000. That is something we would anticipate. You will have capital costs that you're spending and potentially receiving receivables for that, so you have to wait for those. Your Section 8 housing fund, that had a positive of 105,000 of your net change. And then lastly is your sewer fund, so 667 in the positive for your sewer. So I wanted to also provide you on the next slide, the debt service summary. I think this is really helpful for budgeting to see where you are as well. So these are the issues that you currently have outstanding. There were, two that matured during 2024. So these are the ones outstanding as of December 31st, 24. What's good here is that the lowest interest rates, the 1.375, is what goes out the longest to the 2054, so you have a really good low rate on that. And then the other three also have pretty good rates, at the time and currently. So from your payments to maturity, you can see the next 5 years individually and then grouped up as well. I did calculate your payments to maturity, so your principal and interest over the budget of the general fund, just to see exactly where you are. You're about 6.9%. I can see municipalities anywhere between like a 4 or 5 to a 9, depending on the capital projects that are currently outstanding. Oftentimes people issue bonds or bands that will roll into a bond to assist with financing capital projects if they don't have a reserve set aside in the general fund to assist for paying that. But it does help offset the cost as well. So that does conclude my presentation, but I'm happy to take any questions that you have.
Any questions from the council?
Pretty thorough.
Very thorough.
Could you explain transfers out again?
Sure. The transfers out to the capital projects fund, that's on page 7, sorry. So on the bottom of page 7, there's a transfers out line. That is to the capital projects fund. So there was, when the budget was passed, $125,000 that was budgeted to go to the capital projects fund to fund a project or to fund several projects. Basically in 24, that transfer didn't actually happen, didn't need to be spent or transferred out to the capital project. But it is something that you can include in your future budgets if you wanted to, if you had more project activity or if you wanted to help fund certain projects.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any others? Thank you again, Melissa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
You want to speak on my letter today?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, moving on, public comment, 5-minute limit. Anyone signed up? Okay. Approval of minutes, the March 23rd, 2026 Common Council meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilman Piccarello, second by Councilman O'Connell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the April 6th, 2026 Special Common Council meeting minutes.
Motion.
Councilman Rhodes, we have a second by Councilman Laura Hockenberry. Any discussion? None, all those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries.
We have some
Jackie wasn't here for that meeting, right?
Yeah, we do have one.
special meetings.
Yeah.
Slept through that one,
All right, moving on to regular business. Code Committee, Councilman Piccarello.
Okay, code has not met since our previous meeting. At this point, we do have some business. I would like to make a motion to adopt a negative declaration under seeker to local law number 1 of 2026, which is to amend section 535, I believe. 535 of the city's city code zoning law. It's basically the bulk tables in the neighborhood mixed use section of the city. And it basically, again, I'll just note that it's from the old code. When it got carried into the computer code, it deleted accessories apartments for certain types of buildings under neighborhood mixed use zone. So I would like to make a motion to adopt the negative declaration under seeker for that.
Second. Second by Councilman Laura Hockenberry. Any discussion on local law number 1?
EAF, it's been circulated to the board. This was previously classified by the council as unlisted adoption under the seeker regulations, which requires the council being lead agency. Under seeker requires the preparation and execution of a short form environmental assessment form. That's been provided to the council. The finding is that there's no adverse environmental impacts from the proposed zoning code change that needs to be adopted prior to the adoption of the local law. So that's what you're having in this motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
So the mayor is authorized to sign this document.
Okay.
And at this point, I would like to make a motion to adopt local law number 1 of 2026, amending section 535 of the city code, the bulk tables under neighborhood mixed use zone.
Motion, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Dennison. Any discussion on local law number 1?
Just very briefly, when the public hearing was closed at the last meeting, we noted for the record that we received the referral response back from Orange County Department of Planning under General Municipal Law Section 239M. The county advised the council that the adoption of the proposed local law under consideration right now would be a strictly local determination. There were no comments and there were no binding comments that the council has to deal with. So should the council wish to do so, it is permissible to go ahead and adopt this local law. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. Any further from the council? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And the code will meet again on May 6th at 6:30 PM here in the council chambers. And that is all I have under code.
Okay, police committee.
Thank you, Mayor. The police committee has not met. I do have a resolution, however, and a couple items of business. So, I would like to make a motion to pass the following resolution of the Common Council of the City of Port Jervis, authorizing the signing and submission of a grant disbursement agreement to the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York. And now therefore, it is hereby resolved that the Common Council of the City of Port Jervis hereby authorizes the mayor or his designee to complete, sign, and submit grant agreement and related documentation to the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York to begin the process of receiving the awarded CREST grant funding in the amount of $50,000 for the purpose of purchasing a supervisory patrol vehicle for the city police department. And it is further resolved that the Common Council hereby authorizes and approves the purchase of a 2026 Chevrolet supervisory patrol vehicle for the police department from Robert Green Chevrolet in the amount of $51,535.11 as set forth in the accompanied documentation, and that the mayor or his designee authorizes to execute and deliver any and all documents associated with said purchase. And it is further resolved that the Common Council certifies that the City of Port Jervis has met all of its applicable requirements for grant entitlement, and that all information contained in the grant application documentation is accurate and true to the best of council's knowledge.
Okay.
This motion.
I'll second that.
Second by Councilman Lawrence Hockenberry. Any discussion on a resolution for the purchase?
Yeah.
Good luck.
I'm being intense tonight, but with respect to the grant is $50,000, the CREST grant, the purchase of the vehicle is approximately 51 and change, as set forth in the resolution. There was not a need to go out to public bid for the vehicle itself from Robert Green, because the dealer and the vehicle are on the Onondaga County publicly bid contract, which the city is permitted to piggyback, therefore avoiding the need to go out to
things that the chief just wanted me to mention. This week is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. In essence, that's for the dispatchers. So if you see them, take a minute to thank them. The police department wanted to express their sincere gratitude to the dedicated professionals of the Port Jervis Police Department, Orange County 911, and to all emergency telecommunicators across the nation. So if you see them this week, just tell them thank you. Maybe buy them a cup of coffee. Next week will be the No Empty Chair campaign, which is held every year. We'll be doing that in conjunction with the Town of Deer Park and I believe New York State Police. The No Empty Chair is basically geared towards young drivers, being the prom season, graduation season. There's a lot of education that goes along with it, as long as to go with the enforcement side of it. So they'll have educational seminars at the school. The police will have some overtime out there, basically going and looking at underage drinking and impaired driving, which, yes, involves marijuana. You're not allowed to smoke marijuana and drive a car. It's a big problem nowadays with the state's legalization of marijuana. They'll also be looking at seatbelts and child restraints, cell phone use and texting, and Operation Safe Stop Education and Enforcement Day on Thursday, April 23rd. And the next police committee meeting will be later this week, Thursday night, April 16th at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Thank you, Ray.
All right, thank you, sir. Planning, zoning, recreation, Councilman O'Connell.
Thank you, Mayor. Zoning last met on Tuesday, April 7th. During the meeting, the board approved an area variance for a side yard setback for 26 Ferguson Avenue. Zoning will next meet on Tuesday, May 5th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Planning has not met since our last meeting. The board will next meet on Tuesday, April 12th at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Recreation update. The dog yard, Church Street Park, lower level, and vehicle gate at Elks Bronx Park is now open. This gates at these parks will be locked every night at sunset. The Youth Center Recreation Room is open Monday through Thursday, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Fridays, 2 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. The Rec Department Casino trip to Megan's Son, Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania is this Saturday, April 18th. Our spring Little Chefs classes will start on Saturday, May 2nd. Classes will be held each Saturday morning for 5 weeks at the Youth Center between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. Classes are for kids ages 10 through 13, and the cost is $50. Registration will be held at the Youth Center April 14th and 16th between 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. The 32nd Delaware River Run will be held Sunday, May 3rd at Riverside Park at 9 a.m. Registration is now open. Visit runsignup.com and search Delaware River 5K Run and Walk. The third Jim Fagione Jr. Midnight Madness Endurance Relay will be held in Elks Bronx Park Saturday, May 30th through Sunday, May 31st, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. For information on this event and to register, please visit pjmidnightmadness.com. The Recreation Office is accepting applications for the following seasonal summer jobs. Playground supervisor, please contact the office if interested. Email us at recreationdirector@portjervisnewyork.gov. Excuse me. Deadline to apply is April 27th. The next Recreation Commission meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, May 13th, 2026, this year at 6:15 p.m. at the Youth Center. I also want to recognize Preston and John Fagione and all the volunteers that came out last Saturday to the upper level of Church Street Park. There was a monumental task ahead of us in getting the park ready for the season, but we all persevered. I also want to thank the hard workers of the Recreation Department. I now have a greater appreciation for the work they do. Hopefully, all of us cleaning the park took some of the burden off you guys. Excuse me. And I also want to make a motion to approve the seasonal laborers for the recreation department this year. Positions will start on or after May 4th, 2026. Returning employees Christopher Ross, Ryan Ross, and new employees Tyler Donahue, Christopher Switach. So I'd like to make that a motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Councilman Rickrell, second by Councilwoman Dennison. Is that correct?
Rhodes,
Motion.
Carrillo.
O'Connell, second Vicarella.
I'm sorry,
O'Connell.
Kyle Bickrell.
Doesn't even sound like you.
Alright, any discussion on this, the hiring of the seasonal laborers? Should we do a motion for each, or can we do
You can do it
all in one? Okay.
Are the salaries already set?
Yeah.
Then at the prescribed salaries.
Okay.
It's fine. And put the effective date in the motion.
So they're gonna start May 4th,
Yeah, May 4th,
Okay.
and the prescribed salary, so.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And lastly, I just wanted to wish my sister Emma a happy 17th birthday. I'm so proud of you. You really grew into a kind and amazing person. Happy birthday, Emma.
Happy
birthday.
birthday. April baby, alright.
17.
Alright, finance, Councilwoman Cole.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna start with bills to be paid tonight, from the general fund, $347,683.13. From the water fund, $41,359.93. From the sewer fund, $2,858.66. From the capital fund, $70,675.33. And from trust and agency, $224,523.10, for a total of $687,100.15. Some larger items to note from the general water and sewer funds: Orange County Sanitary Landfill for $29,824.80. Orange and Rockland PJ Solar for $75,194.64. Magna 5 for $10,288. And Holland Company for $6,793.20. From the capital fund, we had Granville Americans Engineering for $64,550. Impact Precast and Forming for $1,865, and Royal Furniture for $1,500. I would like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second. Second by Councilman Oni. Any discussion on the bills? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I have a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Port Jervis approving the 2024 independent audit. Whereas the City of Port Jervis engaged PKF O'Connor Davies CPAs of Harrison, New York, an independent accounting firm, to audit, examine, and prepare a report of the city's financial position as of December 31st, 2024, a draft of which audit report has been presented to the city for review. And whereas, in accordance with General Municipal Law Article 3, the city wishes to approve the draft fiscal year ending 2024 audited financial statement and deliver the final version of the same to the appropriate governmental authorities. Now therefore be it resolved by the members of the city as follows: the mayor or his designee is hereby authorized and directed to execute an engagement letter with PKF O'Connor Davies CPAs dated as of April 10th, 2026 with respect to the preparation of the audited financial statement of the city for the fiscal year ending 2024. In accordance with the General Municipal Law Article 3, the city hereby approves the draft fiscal year ending 2024 audited financial statement, directs PKF O'Connor Davies CPAs to prepare the final version of the same and deliver said final version of the 2024 audited financial statement to the appropriate governmental authorities. I make that a motion.
Second by Councilwoman Mazzara. Any further discussion on the financial audit draft? All those in favor?
Aye.
opposed? That motion carries.
I do have, one announcement. So, we've had multiple issues, as everybody knows, with the postal service and people receiving their tax bills, their city water bills late. We have posted on the city's website a, schedule of when the county taxes, the city taxes, the school taxes, and the water sewer bills are due. So you can go on the website, you can look at that. I think we've all shared it on Facebook, so it's out there for public knowledge. You can also go on to our portjervisny.gov website and sign up for an online payment portal so that you can go on, you can see when these bills are due, you can pay them right online if you choose to do so. It's super simple, it's 6 steps to create an account right on the government website. So if anybody needs that, that was also shared on the city website, it was shared on Facebook, it's been shared in multiple different areas. Or I can email you a copy if you'd like instructions on how to go about applying and creating an online account. Or call the clerk's office, they'll walk you through it. The girls are super helpful. And with that, the next finance meeting is Wednesday, April 22nd at 6 p.m. And that's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Tourism, Councilwoman Mazzara.
Thank you, Mayor. The annual Port Jervis Citywide Yard Sale will be held on Saturday, May 2nd from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. throughout the city, with a rain date set for Sunday, May 3rd. The next tourism meeting will be held tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. here in the council chambers. Next month, they will return to a 7 p.m., but like I said, tomorrow's meeting will be held here at 6:30. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Ready, Jeffrey? Fire and Emergency Management.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Rhodes.
I have a few things. Some events, Tri-State Hose Company number 6 would like to attend the parade in Middletown on 10/10 of 26. I make that a motion.
Second by Councilman Siegel. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Next event is for a chicken barbecue takeout from Mahogama Cook and Ladder on 5/2/26 from 12 to 6 p.m. and I make that a motion.
Second by Councilman Siegel. Any discussion on the chicken barbecue? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Next is a nomination of active membership for Brian N. LeBrun into Mahogama Cook and Ladder. I make that a motion.
Second by Councilman Siegel. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next is a nomination of active membership for Carlos A. Reyes into Howard Reed Engine Company number 4. I make that a motion.
Second by Councilman Siegel. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Now, all these are transfers out of Delaware Engine Company number 2 into the individual companies. I'm just gonna go through the whole list and vote on them. Transfers, to Neversink Engine Company, Jerry Oney Jr., Thomas Snyder, to Howard Reed Engine Company number 4, Edward Breck, James Ludson, Patty Sardina, Steven Sardina, Douglas Smith, transferred to Excelsior Engine Company number 5, Ryan Ainella, Jerry Sacco Jr., Tri-State Hose Company number 6, Jeffrey Mosier, and also into Neversink Engine Company, Jeannie M. Addy, Eric Hipsman, Elizabeth Stein, Patsy Trotta Jr., Howard Reed Engine Company number 4, Joshua Hicks, and also Robert Hicks, and the Excelsior Engine Company number 5, James Farr, John Farr, Joseph Farr, Jerry Enright, Jason Ramos Jr., Mike Sobolewski, John Zachary Jr., into Tri-State Hose Company number 6, Claire Clune, Donald Clune, Leslie Fox Jr., Fred Perpera, David J. Rivera, and into Mahogama Cook and Ladder, George Bush, Michael Campbell Jr., Robert Furman, Russell Greck, October Zerari, Timothy Mills, Zachary Krajowski, Mark Thornton, and Ralph D. Tidd. I make that motion.
Second Siegel. Any discussion? Any discussion on Joe Loney's transfer?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say, can I vote on my own transfer?
All those in favor?
Jerry has to start.
All those opposed?
No.
The motion carries.
And I have another, a bylaw change. Basically, the current reading was a minimum of 9 voting members must be present in order to have a meeting, board officer meeting, Port Jervis Fire Department. So they requested a minimum of 5 voting members must be present in order for a meeting of the board officers of the Port Jervis Fire Department to proceed. I make that a motion.
Second that.
Second by Councilman Siegel. Any discussion on the bylaw change?
Yeah, I'd just like to say one thing. The reason for that is that there's a lack of participation and volunteerism in the fire department, and it's causing a number of changes to the bylaws, because we can't man all the numbers that we have to man. So I'm putting a plea out there to younger people, and some older ones, but younger people especially. Please consider joining the fire department. I don't think there's a better thing you could do for our community and help us get more active members in the fire department. And that's what I thank you.
And the next emergency management meeting. Oh, yeah. So-
All those in favor of bylaw amendment?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And the other thing is the next emergency management meeting will be on Monday the 20th at 6:30 here in the council chambers. That's all I have there.
Okay. IDA 88, Councilman Oli.
There's nothing to report, Mayor, on either.
CDA, Councilwoman Dennison.
I'll be almost as short, thank you, Mayor. The Port Jervis CDA last met on Wednesday, March 25th, 2026, in the rec center. Under section 8, the wait list closed on March 13th, 2026. Thus far, 350 applications have been reviewed, of which 34 were missing information and 19 were rejected. Following an adjusted timeline, instead of April 13th, 2026, a grant for up to $3 million for stormwater line improvements in the 4th Ward will be submitted for consideration no later than 3 p.m. on June 1st, 2026. The next Port Jervis CDA meeting is scheduled for April 29th at 7 p.m. on the 2nd floor of the rec center. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Housing Veterans, BJTV 23, Councilman Siegel.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be as short as my partner. Not a chance. The last meeting of the Housing Authority was held on March 24th. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 21st at 6 p.m. The PJ Senior Club meets in the second and the fourth Wednesdays of each month at 1:30 at VFW 161. Under Veterans, the Vietnam Veterans Day Welcome Home Celebration Parade was held on Sunday, March 29th. I'd like to thank the VFW 161, the Naval Ship, and all those that attended and participated in honoring our Vietnam veterans. And today's inspirational quote: ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do. Attitude determines how you do it. And that's Lou Holtz. And that's all I thank you.
All right, good choice.
He's good.
DPW, Councilman at-large.
Thank you, Mayor.
Social gathering at the end of the.
All set down there?
Sorry for anybody watching tonight.
Yeah, I'm done.
Garbage recycling and paper pickup for the weeks of April 13th and April 20th will be on its normal schedule. 2026 garbage schedule is available on the city website at www.portjervisny.gov or by emailing the DPW office at dpwclerk@portjervisny.gov. Compost pile is now open on Saturdays from 7:15 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. It is for Port Jervis residents only. Some tickets are available for household bulk waste at the city clerk's office. Bag leaves and tied brush will be picked up every Monday. Bag leaves must be in compostable bags. They're also combustible. Let's see. In-house blacktop, basically pothole repair, has started the next couple of weeks in all wards. New lighting will be installed at Orange Square Park in the next few weeks. Also, they will be painting the pavilion. It was scheduled to be painted, treated lumber, had to dry for a year, so hoping to get that spruced up and looking good for the summer, for the Italian festival, I know. Yeah, get excited, the fellas. Street sweeping, in all words, has begun. Also, the guys will be out painting fire hydrants. They've already started, but they're gonna be painting fire hydrants, like throughout the wards in the city. So if you see them out there, pick them a bottle of water or something if it gets a little too hot. Update on the admin building for DPW. Our attorney, Mr. Frank, has prepared some RFPs for us to put out, so, hopefully, at the end of this week, beginning of next week, we'll be RFPing the concrete, the insulation, and the actual construction of the building. To save cost, our DPW laborers will be finishing the inside of the building to the best of their abilities. Also, I want to congratulate Joseph Wilson. He's been promoted within the DPW to a labor foreman. I believe that was effective this morning. So congratulations to Joe.
Congratulations, Joe.
Our next meeting will be held on May 4th at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. And I'd also like to wish the mayor a happy birthday. He celebrated his birthday over the weekend while he was at work for 48 hours.
Yeah.
When he got home Sunday, he celebrated. But happy birthday to the mayor.
Thank you.
Another April
Thank you.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
You want to sing? We can sing.
No. Let's get through it.
Huh? Like karaoke up here.
That didn't bite Jonah.
Where's the cake?
Yeah, well, that's more importantly, you're right, Stan. Okay, moving on. For your consideration, I have an event permit application. This is from DiMarino's Dispensary at 110 Jersey Avenue. This is for their 420 weekend event, which will be held on 418 and 420. I do want to note that this is on their property. You're basically putting the event application in as goodwill. Also, they will have a food truck, ice cream, pizza, a DJ. There will be no cannabis products sold in the parking lot. They wanted me to make note of that. The time of gathering will be 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. each night. I'll obtain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Councilman Laura Chalkenberry, second by Councilman Rhodes. Any discussion?
Yeah, 420 is a Monday, is that the right date?
He said the 18th for the
It's,
morning.
the date of gathering is the 18th, which is Saturday, and also the 20th to celebrate their holiday. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next is for a pivot cycle demonstration bike event. This was put in by Joe Kamen. They're gonna be inviting dealers from the Mid-Atlantic and New England to test ride the Pivot Cycles bicycles at our watershed trails. The date of gathering is April 28th, 29th, and 30th. It's 6 hours each day. It will start at 9 a.m. All the department heads have approved. They have the necessary paperwork in and insurance, and they do not need any city services while they're doing this. Motion. Councilman Rhodes.
Second.
Second by Councilman Vicarello. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We received a letter that is asking for permission, or more or less a letter of no objection request. This is for a one-day alcohol event permit to sell alcohol at events within the city limits, obviously. And this is from Naomi from Port Provisions, and she has a hard copy of the paperwork. I received an email at the clerk's office today, the SLA, the cover sheet. She's basically looking for myself, the councilman, the city clerk treasurer, or the police chief to issue the letter of no objection. I'll entertain a motion for that.
When is this for, Mayor?
So this is for a June event. Obviously, she's pretty well rehearsed with the SLA and their process. So this also falls under Councilman Vicarello and Corporation Counsel Will Frank and I have been working the past few months on adopting a better alcohol policy for our events. Naomi Stubbs, who was putting the letter in, is actually very well rehearsed in this. This gives her plenty of lead time, which would be 30 days, what we're looking for, or we're up to 45 to submit to the council.
Yeah, and I
So
know we had discussed that once
Yep.
before, that's why I asked.
What event is this?
This would be a jazz performance event.
So moved.
Second.
second by Councilman Picarello. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. The USDA is looking for permission for the third year to study the spotted lanternfly and the spongy moths at Riverside Park. Basically, as they've done the last 2 to 3 years, they're just hanging traps in the trees. We've always gave them permission. They're looking for permission again. I'll entertain a motion. Councilman O'Connell, second by Councilwoman Dennison. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, lastly, I just want to add, I want to piggyback off Councilwoman Fuller's statements about the water billing. Please take advantage of the online billing and the online portal. I do believe that that's the way to go. There's more than enough help here at the city to give you a hand getting started. But for I took in a few inquiries over the past few weeks from the public. We too certainly feel your pain with the post office, and it pains me to say that, but we are frustrated with them as well. The city clerk treasurer just brought in a stack of returned bills and tax documents that were sent back to City Hall today for non-deliverable addresses within the city. I know Councilwoman Fuller has worked behind the scenes on this also, trying to set up a meeting with the postmaster to no avail. I know members of the public have to no avail. I know the public has also followed our request and issued waivers and then heard nothing back. So we've reached out to Congressman Bryan's office. They have agreed to join us and to give us some assistance with maybe getting the post office to move along or get straightened out in this situation. We feel your pain on this and we're trying. The Congressman's office was more than willing to step in and give us a hand. And actually, we're gonna discuss it a little bit further tomorrow morning. So we're gonna continue to fight on this and work for the public here. So with that, I entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
Councilman Rhodes, second by Councilman Labarge Hockenberry. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
So whatever we did there,